Mic check, mic check. Welcome in, everybody. DTP, what's up? Neighbor Jay, Paul, Rick, Thomas, J Cuts, Frank, Juan, Omar, yeah, welcome in, welcome in. To everybody else, hello. If you're new to these streams, I'm going to be breaking down my full trading plan for tomorrow. I'll be telling you everything that I'm watching. I'll tell you exactly why I'm watching it. And then I'm also going to be giving you a lot of, I call them side charts, a lot of side chart options to watch for the rest of this week that may or may not have potential depending on kind of where they move and where the overall market moves. And then after that, I'll be taking any charting requests that you want me to review, right? By the way, the 100K challenge is now complete. We finished this last week. I want to say thank you to everybody that has followed along. I want to say it's been a really pleasurable experience actually sharing these results with you all. Hopefully it served to maybe help motivate you. You know, it was never intended to be a, hey, look what I can do type of thing. It was more so a way for me to prove that the system that I teach in the Discord server works. I'd probably say 99% of my trades that I took were from the watch list, and that watch list that I'm talking about is the one that I'm going to be giving you tonight. And so, you know, I just had extreme discipline. That's all that it was. So if you don't know, what I did was I took $5,000 on May 14th and started trading 4.5 months ago with $5,000 and ran it all the way up to 100K. I didn't know that I was going to take it to 100K. My first goal was 25,000. And then once I hit that, I was just like, you know, let's just keep going. And we hit 50,000. I was like, all right, let's just keep going. Then I hit 100,000. And at this point, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to keep going with it. I thought that this would take me the rest of the year to complete, but, you know, we've still got a few months here. We've still got a couple of months. So I don't know if I'm going to restart or just kind of keep trying to grow it. I know I want to take a break from the challenges for a little bit, but it's been highly requested that you guys want me to do a $1,000 challenge, right? So, I mean, is that kind of the, just type it up in chat. Did you want me to start another challenge with like $1,000 or $5,000? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Because I will gladly start another challenge. I'm just going to take a break for a little bit, but yeah, if you guys wanted me to do something like that and start over from the beginning so that you could follow along as well, you know, I'm not opposed to doing that at all. Anyways, it's surprisingly been really pleasurable for me. It's an awesome experience to be able to share that with you all. All right, let's get into the watch list. By the way, everything mentioned in this stream it's just my opinion. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just telling you what my plan is for tomorrow, and then maybe, you know, you can get some trade ideas from my trade ideas as well. Let's get into the watch list. I'll keep you guys from waiting here. The first one on the list for tomorrow will be ROKU, ROKU. We had this on the list not too long ago, a couple of times this week actually, as it was pulling back to this $300 hold number, right? So I'm just going to draw a trend line right there. Hold numbers tend to act as natural points of support and resistance within the market. And ROKU has been one of those names that's really kind of taken a tumble here recently. I mean, it's definitely on a downtrend. And I'm not saying that it has the total potential to bounce and reverse here, but it seems to be holding some support in this area. So we have a hold number support below at around 300, and then we've got resistance up here at around 316. So I'll draw a trend line right there. That kind of gives us this range that's been forming between 300 and 316 that Roku's been trading in. If I move to the 5-minute time frame, it's a little easier to see. So there's your resistance, resistance, resistance there at the end of the day, and maybe even we can extend it over one more day, resistance there. And that's all placed around this 316 price point. So it's my opinion that if we get a break of 316 tomorrow, you guys that have traded Roku before knows how fast this stock can move. It's my opinion that if we get a break of 316 on Roku, that we get a break of this range and possibly a run up through 320 and maybe even more, up to like 324, maybe 325, depending. So I'm just looking for a break of 316. I don't really care if it rejects 316 because I don't think that, like, unless it gaps down, I don't think that if we get a rejection of 316 that we'll get a flush through 300. But nonetheless, I mean, I still have my alerts set at 300 just in case. But what I'm really looking for is a break of 316. All right, that's ROKU, by the way. I'm seeing a lot of positive feedback here on that 100K or the restarting the challenge. You guys said a 1K challenge would be awesome. A couple of you said 100K to a mil. Yeah, that'd be fun too. The thing is, like, all right, if you're looking at my P&L curve here, it's not really like it's not exponential growth. In the beginning it was, but then it started to flatten out. It's more like a linear growth rather than exponential. And that's because once I got up around like $20,000, what I stopped doing was trading with my full account balance, and I started following more proper risk management strategies. So I was not using like the full $100,000 worth or $70,000 or $60,000 worth of capital in each trade. And that's what keeps this linear rather than exponential. You run into like liquidity issues once you start trading with larger size, especially with options. And unless I'm trading a name like Tesla or Amazon, I was getting like a lot of slippage. So I kind of got tired of that. And plus I was like paying hundreds of dollars in commissions each day. And I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work for me. So I just went back to proper risk management. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll just leave that account. Maybe I'll just start another account with $1,000 and run it up from there. Okay. Let's go on to the next one. By the way, if you're just joining in, I'm just talking about my top stock picks for tomorrow, and then I'll be taking charting requests closer to the end of this stream. Number 2 on the watch list for tomorrow is going to be AMC. AMC. I want to see what this can do. I'm really curious about that volume that came in on Thursday. So I know that we had a downtrend, right? We were actually watching it here. We caught this breakout move here for this run up, and we were trading it on the way up. We kind of got like this rising wedge, and then that wedge broke down as we rejected at $50 and have since been on a downtrend. Right, so I saw this bear pennant shape up, and I was like, okay, well, it broke down. This is going to be a short. And then all of a sudden, big volume comes in on Thursday and runs this thing back up from like $34 up to $42. So a night, like a big run there. Percentage-wise, like a 23% gain. Really quick, right? And then it closed below 40, which I was like, all right, cool. That's great because I don't know if you know this or not, but the area where a stock breaks down from or out of a pattern is a hidden level of support and resistance. So this pattern here, oh, you guys said that the screen's not fully showing. Can you see that now? Is that better? Okay, this pattern here, this is a bear pennant. The peak of the pattern, or the point of this pattern, where it broke down from, then becomes a kind of like a hidden level of resistance there, right? So when this pushed back up, it made sense that it kind of rejected in this area. I mean, you've got the 50 EMA there as well, but then the next day it did nothing, which has me slightly confused about AMC, but I also know that, well, it's AMC, right? And it just got a ton of volume, so it makes sense that a big run like this would not sustain, and then the next day you get like a chill day. I'll show you on the 5-minute time frame. Big run up, and you see the big volume here. Nice run here. Somebody was actually calling this out in chat as it was happening, and some of the members were able to catch a piece of this. But yeah, so the big run up, pull back, pretty much a flat open, and just did nothing, right? Held the previous day's close as support, but also rejected at 41, 2, 3, and if you're including pre-market, 4 times right there. So what I'm looking for on AMC tomorrow is just a break of $40. That's it. I just want to see, I want to see where this goes from here. I'm not super interested in shorting it. Maybe there's a short potential here below like 38 or 37. I'm not super interested in that. I want to see if this can break 40 and then get that momentum that it had here. All this volume coming in. I want to see if that volume will flow back into this name and push it up and over $40. The next resistance point is going to be around 42, and that's kind of just based off of this peak, and this peak, and then above that, I would say 43.5. There's a slight gap here, not super significant, but it is there. All right, so one step at a time. We're just looking for a break on AMC above $40. By the way, thank you all for joining in. I'm hoping that you're making some money off of these callouts. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, to the YouTube channel, you probably can't. You'll see you can't type in the chat box. If you want to call out any stocks for me to review, and if you want to be requesting stocks, you do have to use that chat box there. So I think it's only a 1 minute wait time. If you just subscribe, wait 1 minute, you'll be able to type. Number 3 on the watch list for tomorrow is Facebook, FB. Those of you that are in my Discord server, you know we've had a time with Facebook here recently. I've tried to put this on the watch list as a short idea below this support point for like the past 3 or 4 days now, and it just won't break down. It will not break down. I don't know why this support right here is so strong, but it is. So originally we liked it as a short below 340, then we moved it down to 339, and it held that level, and now it's kind of bouncing off of 340. So if I move this to the 5 minute time frame, you get to see this a little more clearly. That's a range, right? Resistance at 345, support around 339, all of that price actions being encompassed within this little $6 range. At some point, something's got to give here. And I think that the direction of Facebook will likely depend on where the overall market is going. So if we see a green day on SPY, we might see some follow through on Facebook with a breakout move to the top side. Otherwise, if we see red in the overall market, you know, there's a chance that Facebook's just going to follow and, I don't know, maybe break support. We'll see. It's been, the support down here at 339 has been really strong. So with so many days of it holding support, it kind of leads me to believe that this isn't going to break down and it's going to break out. It's just a matter of timing it. So keep your alerts set on Facebook at 345. The play idea here, the setup that's being presented is a range, and as it's validating the support point. Yeah, so I'll do your, I'm going to get to your charting requests. I'm just going to go through kind of what's on my main watch list first. And then I'll also talk about some side charts, and then I'll take all of the charting requests at the end. All right, actually, you know what? As I'm talking about these side charts, if you want to go ahead and start typing up your requests, you can. And when I finish my side chart list, we'll go over those requests, and I'll just kind of do them in the order that was received. But please try to like provide some type of like a sentence or two why the stock should be reviewed. it just creates better conversation. That's all. I like to know why you're watching the stock. All right, so if you're just joining in, by the way, overview, Roku, AMC, Facebook, those are all making my main chart watch list as of right now, and that's it, only those 3. The rest of these are side charts, which means that they have potential to make the main chart list, but it's really going to depend. The first one is Tesla. Tesla is forming a bull pennant pattern here on the daily chart time frame. This is your pennant, right? Lower highs, higher lows. This is your flagpole bull pennant pattern. Now, Tesla reported, actually they beat expectations when it came to deliveries over the weekend. So I'm expecting Tesla to gap up from where it's at. I don't know where it gaps up to, and I don't even know if it's going to gap up at all. But that is what I'm expecting on Tesla, and that's why it is a side chart and not a main chart, because I don't really know at this point what's going to happen. But my assumption would be that it gaps up, and we're just going to have to play the gap up. So I'm looking for a break. Ultimately, it kind of boils down to this. I'm just looking for a break of 800. So ideally, I would like to see it open up underneath 800. That way we can just play the break of 800 and go, right? If it gaps up too much, if it's up here like 820, 830, I mean, I don't think that it'll gap that much, but it's Tesla, it could. If it gaps up too much, then I would be expecting a pullback, and it needs to absolutely, in my opinion, hold 800 as a support. All right, so the plan on Tesla, you guys this is probably not going to help you much, but the plan on Tesla is to wait for tomorrow's price action and see what it's going to do or what it has done, and then adjust our plan in the morning. All right, so I'm bullish on Tesla over 800. Otherwise, I don't really care what it does. Just wanted to bring that one to your attention. Number 2, and these are side charts. These are just stocks that may or may not make the watch list, depending on where they open. Number 2 is Netflix. Big bull pennant pattern here, as it trading close to the all-time highs. It broke out of the pennant, or flag rather, broke out of the bull flag, ran into new all-time highs, broke over the whole number at 600. It did pull back here to test 600 as a support before getting bought right back up. So what I'm looking for on Netflix is very simple. It's just a break of 619. So I want to see a break of this recent high to push this even higher. Earnings is coming up, so that serves as a potential catalyst for this to move into the earnings report. Doesn't always happen, but sometimes stocks like to run in anticipation of earnings, and earnings is not far off for Netflix, a couple of weeks. So we might see that, that might be the case here. We might see this run into earnings, and then, who knows what's going to happen after they report their numbers. But that's what I'm looking for. Netflix, side chart watch, break of 619. The reason why it's a side chart is because, all that we're looking for is a break of 619. It's a very easy chart to just set an alert on and kind of forget about it, put it on the back burner until that alert goes off. And then if and when that alert goes off, we take a trade. Otherwise, no position. The next one on the side chart watch list will be Microsoft, MSFT. So this gray shaded area, I will use these gray boxes to indicate gaps on my chart. This gap actually isn't all that significant. It's less than 1% here in profit margin, but it is still there, which makes it notable. So this gap is formed also near the 50 EMA. And if we just drew a trend line there, it kind of aligns right near the peak of where it gapped down to before it started to fall. So those three things, you've got the 50 EMA, you've got the gap area, and then you've got this recent peak here, all being aligned at 291. So I'm looking for a break of 291 on Microsoft for a partial, maybe even a gap fill all the way up to 293, maybe more. It's a side chart though, because it depends on, I think, it's going to depend on what the overall market does. If we see green, possibly a gap fill. If we see red, probably no gap fill. And there's not much you can do. A lot of these FANG stocks kind of rely on the overall market for backing. Not all the time, unless there's some sort of like catalyst, like fundamental catalyst. Those stocks don't always rely on the overall market, but for the most part, you'll want to have market backing as much as possible. And I include Microsoft and Tesla within that FANG category. The next one on the side chart watch list is going to be Boeing, BA. So airline stocks, actually, if I look at like AAL, right? AAL, airline stocks, travel stocks, they kind of got a big pump up because of the COVID pill. I guess that's kind of what the whole market got a little pump up from, was the news on the COVID pill. So I don't know if that's going to be something that truly reverses this entire market right now, or a lot of these stocks that are just pending a breakout or breakdown move, but Boeing still deserves to have an alert set at 230. It's reversed off of the downtrend, in my opinion, so this was kind of your downtrend. We caught the reversal continuation play to the top side, and then since then has not really done anything. So it has started to put in lower highs and higher lows, which leads me to believe that this is a pennant shaping up, and it might still need time to shape up within this pennant. But once it makes the decision from here, if it makes the decision to move topside, then it would be truly confirming a reclaim of that 200 and that 50 EMA, which is that's pretty big, right, for a stock to do that on the daily time frame. So I'm just looking for a break of 230. Probably won't happen tomorrow. Maybe it could. Probably won't. Keep your alert set at 230 though. This is more so a play that I see happening later on this week, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, provided that it holds up in this area and doesn't reject and flush. All right, so Boeing, keep your alert set at 230. If you're just joining in, by the way, I'm reviewing the top stock picks for tomorrow. We've already talked about Roku, AMC, Facebook. We just reviewed Tesla, Netflix, Microsoft, and now Boeing. All right. So I hope you got all of those notes. If you didn't, this stream is being recorded. It will be up for the next 24 hours. So after I end the stream, you can just click play and watch it all over from the beginning again. I'm going to get into the charting requests now, so let's see what you got here. What software am I using for the analysis? This is called Thinkorswim. So I actually have a video on my channel. It's called How to Set Up Thinkorswim. If you need a link to that, if you go to like my Instagram page, there's a link to that video on my Instagram page in the bio. So I think it says like my brokerage settings or my indicators. Just click on that button there, and you'll be able to watch the video. And I show you all. I talk about everything that I use, all these different indicators, and how I set up my platform. All right, somebody said Twitter. Let's review that. Okay. From where it's currently at right now, I don't see anything here that like looks high probability to me. What I do see is that it's bouncing at a potential support point, that being the 200 EMA. So if we just drew like a static line right there, it'd be around $60. I do see that it's bouncing in this area, which it's done previously, right? In any stock that's trading over the 200 EMA, is considered to be in an uptrend, and kind of when it gets extended off that 200 EMA, it likes to pull back, test it as support. Extend it off to 200, pull back, test as support. Extend it off to 200, pull back, test it as support, right? I think at this point, it's kind of too early to tell if this is going to hold up at the 200 EMA or not. So from like a day trading perspective, I don't see anything here that says this is high probability to me, because if I'm looking at this, I'm like, all right, well, I see potential resistance here. I see potential resistance at that 50 EMA. I see potential resistance at this gap area. I see potential resistance at the top side of the gap area, and then up here at 67. So all of this is saying, well, your profit margin on the way up is very limited, right? You have a 1% profit margin there. If it broke through that and ran all the way up to the 50 EMA, that's a pretty decent profit margin there, 2.6%. But then from there, you've got resistance 1% away, then 2% away if you get the gap fill. You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of points where it's like it could get rejected from where it's currently at. So again, from a day trading perspective, I don't see anything here that's saying this is high probability. Now, if from an investing standpoint or from a swing trading standpoint, this might be a decent spot to add. If you're a long-term holder, if you believe in, you know, the price of Twitter is going to go up and continue to go up, I would be cautious about, though, if you're trying to swing trade this, I would be cautious about two things. Number one, what the overall market is doing right now. There are a lot of outside factors, fundamental factors affecting the market that are not yet, I don't know how to say this, fixed or addressed. They're not yet addressed, and they should be addressed within the next 2 weeks. Namely, like the debt ceiling and everything that's going on with that. So I would maybe just throttle back on the swing trading until that is kind of cleared up, or we have answers on that, and then decide what to do. And also earnings, right? Earnings is not too far away either. So just be mindful of those two things. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money and your investing, but I would be cautious about the fundamental factors affecting the market as well as earnings coming up. From a day trading standpoint, I don't see anything here. I would maybe wait for a break of like this peak. I mean, I have no problem staying patient on something like that. It could run the next 10% up without me and I'd be all right. It's just like Snapchat, in my opinion, where Snapchat had gapped up and made this amazing move following earnings and then proceeded to do pretty much nothing, right? A long period of consolidation. And I actually did not put Snapchat on the watch list until it got very close to breaking $80, and it paid. And then it came right back down, and guess what I'm doing? Not putting it on the watch list until it gets back to $80. I have no problem waiting, you know, what is this, 2 months, 2.5 months here for the proper move, rather than trying to jump in and figure out what it's going to do in all of this chop. All right, let's see what else we got posted here. Can I look? Yeah, so this is Snapchat. I don't have any thoughts on Snapchat either. Same deal, right? It's just in the middle of this chop. There's nothing here for me unless it breaks. If it breaks below 70, there's a big gap here that I could fill. I'd probably look to short it into that gap. Otherwise, I'm looking for a break of this resistance again at 80 to run this back up towards the highs and maybe beyond. But as of right now, it's back within this range, and I mean, there's a 50% chance it moves up, 50% chance it moves down. Nothing high probability about that. Somebody mentioned PayPal. You like PayPal off of the bounce here at the 200 EMA. Yeah, okay, so same deal almost with Twitter. I see what you're talking about. It's clearly, very clearly on an uptrend. It's been making higher highs, higher lows. It's been above the 200 EMA this whole time, and it's back down to that 200 EMA. So from a day trading standpoint, there's just too many resistance points overhead for me to like this stock long right now. But from an investing standpoint, maybe this is a good point to add. I would keep an eye on PayPal for a break of this downward trend line here. If you want to play it extra safe, maybe just look for a reclaim of that 50 EMA. Stay patient and let this setup come to you. It's got a little ways to go before it pushes back up to the top side. Airbnb. Somebody said it looks like it broke out of a falling wedge on some decent volume. And is there a possible continuation play up? Yeah, there is. So this is a channel actually. So I see what you're talking about here. Maybe, well, yeah, that's kind of tough to draw. So maybe something like that, I guess, is what you would be referring to. But I mean, I see the larger picture of what this is doing. Higher highs, higher lows. That's a rising channel. So this absolutely has the potential to continue up. At this point though, you would have resistance overhead around 175 to 177, so keep that in mind. It's not far off from where the stock is currently trading at, which is 173, so it's up to you how you want to trade it. There are different ways to trade different patterns and formations and setups. Some traders like to buy when it's closer to the support line, right? So some like Hosky in the server, he's one of those traders that when he sees a pattern setting up, he's buying at the support line, right? Because he doesn't mind that risk that it doesn't hold to be able to capitalize on these profits on the way up. Whereas me, I prefer to have more confirmation. So I don't care. I'll let this thing bounce off that trend line and get back up to this resistance point. And then I add into the position once we get that confirmation that it breaks. So I'm basically giving up this bit of profit margin to get confirmation. So it's a give and take. There are pros and cons here, right? You have more profits entering a position down here for the run up and less confirmation, but you have more confirmation entering here for the run up and less profits usually. No wrong way to trade it. It's just totally up to you, and what you're comfortable with. For me, I would maybe just wait for a break of 177, but you do you. But yeah, it does look like, it's very clearly uptrending and it's in a rising channel. Somebody mentioned IBM. IBM is on an uptrend here. So those stocks that we were just looking at, that were bouncing near the 200 EMA, this is kind of the confirmation I would be looking for, right? So IBM got extended off that 200. This is your 200 EMA. Got extended off that 200, pulled back, pulled back, pulled back, pulled back, broke through, reclaimed, and then started to test this downward trend line here. A lot of kind of chop, and then bam, broke out, right? Breakout move there, break over the 50 EMA, confirmation that your 200 EMA held as support, and now we've got this uptrend here on IBM. And what's more is Trevor actually mentioned this one. I didn't see the news, but there is apparently news on this. So there's a catalyst. So not only is it breaking the 50 EMA and confirming the 200 EMA as support and breaking this downtrend, but it's also backed with a catalyst. So it has a reason to be running like this. Yeah, absolutely. Continuation play over 144. I see that all day long. Good call out. Good eye, Trevor. That's the type of stuff that we want. So like you guys are calling out decent stocks, but some of them just aren't ready yet. They're just not there yet. Something like this though, now it's ready, and there's no problem like waiting for the stock to break out first and then taking a continuation trade on it the next day. There's no problem doing that at all. Don't always have to catch it the first day that it breaks out. All right, Mike said Nike's in a gap, just popped over the 200 EMA on the daily. Looking to buy puts below 145. Yeah, so this is actually this is a gap, and it has partially filled this gap. So when you have gaps on your chart and something gets partially filled, that gap, that top side of the gap, or however much of it got filled, it cannot get filled twice. So once a gap is filled, that's it. So then you wind up with this partial gap that looks something like that, right? So what Mike's talking about is he knows that the top side of gaps and the bottom side of gaps act as points of both what? Support and resistance, right? So now that this has partially filled the gap and started to base, we have two things happening here. We have a 200 EMA acting as a support, as well as the top side of this new gap that's formed. Not new gap, but the new support line that's formed, also acting as a support point. So he's looking to buy puts below 145. But I want you to stay open-minded about this as well, because the stock has fallen quite a bit, and most recently it's gapped down again, right? So there's another gap just overhead. So if we're looking at this price action here, we could say that the past 4 days has been a range between 148 with resistance at 148 and support at, let's say, 144.5. We'll just make it easy. 144.5. So I don't disagree with you that you can look to short it below 145 or 144.5 or anywhere towards the bottom side of this gap. But what I would say is just keep an open mind, because this range is not trading at the bottom of the range. It's trading at the top. So you could just as easily get a breakout to the top side. So it could work both ways. I would set alerts at 148 and maybe below 140, what would you say, 145, 144.5, somewhere in this area, and just wait and play this break whatever way it decides to go. Right? It's just like our Facebook trade. We've been watching, if you're in the Discord server, you know that I've been looking to take this short on a breakthrough, and it just hasn't given us that big volume move flush that we want. But now that it's holding as support, I've flipped my bias, right? I'm no longer looking to really short this. I'm looking to maybe take it long, because it's still range trading, validating support. So one of the first stages to a trend change is consolidation. Keep that in mind. All right, Thomas, we actually went over Snapchat already. If you missed it, just rewatch this stream. It's going to be up for the next 24 hours. Frank, you're mentioning UAL. I'm going to switch that to AAL. So DAL, UAL, and AAL, they all kind of are presenting similar setups. I like AAL better just because of the liquidity with the options contracts. So AAL, and they're all presenting very similar setups, by the way. This is a cup and handle. Big cup, right? Rejection at 22.2, rejection at 22.2. There's your handle. Pull back to test that 50 EMA as support, and then the move back up to the top side on volume. The volume being, right, the whole like COVID pill thing that's supposedly pushing this market up from here. By the way, there's your cup and handle. It's not very pretty, but it's there. Cup, handle, and then your pop move up. What I would be looking for, and why I have alerts set here, is a break of this level, break of that level of the most recent high for a continuation push up to the top side. So alerts on AEL set at 22.2. I just happen to like this one better. Sid, we actually just broke down PayPal, but Paul, we will review LULU. This is in a gap right here. So those of you that are looking for some of these ranges to break out, like on Nike or like on Snapchat, this is how powerful patience can be. Wait until the stock gets to a point where it's going to make a move and make a directional decision move. That's where you're going to make your money, because you don't want to be caught up like trying to short this here and then have it bounce and you're not even getting any confirmation. This would be your confirmation move right here. So we know that this was a gap area, right? There's your flush down into the gap. Then there's your next 2 days following that that flush move. So now this gap area looks like this at this point, right? This is no longer really a support point. If anything, it becomes a resistance point. So you said that, let me see, what you post? Resistance at 398, support at 414. All right, so I think you've got those flipped. You probably have those flipped. Resistance would be at the bottom side of this range at 414, yes, and your support would be, I would probably just say 400. It's not only the gap area, but it's also a whole number. So I would just round that up and say 400. But yeah, if you're looking to short this, it's a very easy move. Long over 400 or short below, and it might need a couple of days of consolidating here. But yeah, if short bias trader, this is a gap fill trade to the bottom side. Same concept as if it were a gap fill trade to the top side, just flipped. KPB or KBP, we actually just talked about Tesla. So just rewatch the stream once I end it, and you'll see my my thoughts on that one. Let's go over. We'll do two more. Somebody said JPM with some analysis posted there. JPM flagging on the daily with resistance at 168 on the weekly. Looking for a break of 169 for a move higher into earnings. Good, yeah, so earnings is coming up. That's a potential catalyst. It is range trading. Well, not really range trading, but it is consolidating here, chopping around, trying to find a direction. On the weekly time frame, you said there is resistance at 168. I'm probably not going back far enough here, but I see from this peak what you're talking about. So you're looking for a break of 169 for the continuation run up on JPM. I totally agree. I agree with you on that. And I like that you set the trigger there at 169 and not at 169.3. I don't really think that 30 cents is going to make a huge difference when it comes to this stock either breaking out or faking out. So yeah, I do like JPM over 169. And in fact, I already have an alert set at in this area. So I totally agree with you. All right, what do we got? What do we got here? Somebody said DKNG also had some news, and it's trading around the $50 whole number. DKNG is trading near the 50 whole number. I didn't look at what the news might be here on this name, but this is what's known as a dead cat bounce. It's abbreviated DCB. So a dead cat bounce is when a stock falls pretty quickly and then doesn't have like a lot of green days or any type of rally to relieve that selling pressure. So it just kept falling, and then boom, all of a sudden you get like a nice big reversal day back up. I like the fact that it reclaimed the $50 whole number as well. This doesn't mean that I'm bullish on DKNG from where it's at, but there might be another day here where this pushes up to continue to relieve some of that selling pressure. So your resistance is going to be around $52. Luckily, you only need a $1 move here to yield a 2% profit margin, so your profit margin is there. Maybe look for a break of 51 for the run to 52. PIN also was kind of moving up as well. I noticed this one last week, still under that 200 EMA. Some of the members were trying to swing PIN as it was. I don't know where you got your entries at. I think it might have been down here or up here somewhere. But if you're still holding on to this, I mean, it does still look valid as it's putting in these higher lows. But at this point, you definitely want to see, for this to continue up, you definitely want to see higher highs. So I'm going to set an alert at 85. AFRM, a lot of chop here. It does look like it's about to do something. This is like a bottleneck. Somebody mentioned this one. Higher lows, lower highs. What's going to happen here at this point? Who knows? It could go, this could go either way from here. I do have alerts set over 121, over 125, and over 132. So the alert over 121 is going to let me know that it's moving up to the top side. 125 is going to serve as confirmation, and 132, well, at that point I need to really think about getting a position because the next resistance isn't until about 140. Yeah, so I like what you said there with AFRM over 121, but keep in mind it could break down too. So maybe set alerts on both sides. All right, I'm going to call it an afternoon here. If I didn't get to your stock, I apologize, but you can always send me a direct message and I'll give you my thoughts on whatever you're asking. So quick overview, Roku, AMC, Facebook all making the main chart watch list. Tesla, Netflix, Microsoft, Boeing all making the side chart watch list. and we'll see what else is moving tomorrow. It's a new month, so if you were red last month, maybe just start your journal over. Start with a clean slate and make it a point to try to have a green month. Red days really don't matter so much. Try to focus on green weeks rather than green days, because ultimately it's those green weeks that are going to lead to green months, and that's going to lead to green years, and that's what's going to lead to, well, overall profitability. So think long term and not so much in the short term. All right, take care. Thank you all for your time today. Again, if I didn't get to your stock, just DM me and I'll answer whatever questions that you had about it or give you my thoughts on it. I will see you tomorrow. Good luck. Let's make some money.